the feast of the Dormition, or the Assumption, as the Roman Church calls it, of Mary. For we old Catholics, it's not a required feast. I chose to celebrate this today to clarify some things about what the Church says about Mary. For most of our brothers and sisters in other traditions, they look at we Catholics and see today as something that confounds them. They shake their heads and they're confused because they think that we are somehow deifying Mary above her Son. That is not the case. Let me say that again. That is not the case. What we celebrate today in this feast of the Dormition and Assumption of Mary is the fulfillment of a promise that was given to God, by God, to Mary. And that promise is one that is also extended to you and to me. So this feast today is a feast about us and what can happen to us if we're faithful to the Lord. To do that, let's reflect a moment on Mary. Mary was conceived and born of a man and a woman, just like one of us. She grew up, experienced all those things that little kids did, teenagers do, just like us. She loved her spouse, her children, her family, her friends, just like one of us. She mourned the loss of her spouse, her son, other family members and friends, just like one of us. And she believed with her whole heart that Jesus is the Son of God, just like most of us. She aged, she experienced sickness, and she died, just like one of us. So what is the difference between Mary and us? It is this, that she bore in her own body, physically, the Son of God. She opened herself up to the power of God's Spirit in her life that generated through her the Messiah. And because of God's promises to her that you heard about in the Scriptures today, she is blessed among all women. You and I can be blessed as well. You see, God calls on you and me to accept Him into our lives. And we can bear the Christ spiritually. And at the end of our lives, if we have lived a faithful life to what Jesus has asked us to do and to be, then we too will experience death and resurrection. Now, this is not a new feast in the church. The earliest recorded part of this tradition occurs around 471, when the Roman emperor and his wife wanted to retrieve Mary's bones. So they went to the bishop who had jurisdiction, the bishop of the church in Jerusalem, and said, "Where's she buried?" And here we have the first accounts of what happened at Mary's death. That she was dying. She summoned all of the apostles to her, and while they were there, she died. She was buried, but one of the apostles was missing, Thomas. Poor Thomas, always a day late. Shows up, wants to see the body, insists that the tomb be opened, goes in, nothing's there. And that's the tradition that has been handed on for over 1,600 years. Do you have to believe it? No. But what it teaches us, regardless, is that there is a promise of a bodily resurrection that you and I may participate in. And so as we celebrate this feast day, we celebrate God's promises that were fulfilled in Mary, and we look forward to the fulfillment of the promises he gives us, who are faithful to the teachings of his Son.